Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 303 of Cantina MX Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jaime Landeros. Joining me tonight is Joel. We will be talking about the rest of the Liga MX fixtures last weekend. And we will also be talking about CONCACAF's announcement tonight about the Leagues Cup, aka the Superliga, aka a Mickey Mouse tournament. We're going to talk all about that tonight. And before I go any further, just want to let everybody know we will not be talking about Chivas tonight. We had a impromptu episode on Sunday. We covered all the news surrounding Vucetic. We might talk a little bit about who's going to take over, but if you missed that episode, make sure to check us on iTunes and Spotify. It's already up online. Anyways, let me bring Joel. Joel, how we doing?
I'm doing very good, Jaime. I'm enjoying this quality mango michelada from Estrella de Jalisco. Actually, it's just Estrella Jalisco, in conjunction with Golden Road and the good people at Clamato. So yeah, not bad.
Sounds refreshing, especially because someone needs to let California know that summer's over. Or at least summer's supposed to be over.
It's true. It's true. So Jaime, are you excited for this new cup? New cup?
Yeah, so pretty much what's going on is this Leagues Cup that was in its first iteration this season. We have Leon versus Seattle Sounders tomorrow at 7 p.m. To dispute this cup that really just had a lot of question marks. Really not sure what it was. Reincarnation of Superliga back in the day when MLS and Liga MX tried to make something happen. Well, today it's officially a CONCACAF sanctioned tournament, and they're expanding it, and it's going to allow the entire MLS and the entire Liga MX to participate in a knockout tournament. The winner will get a direct ticket to the CONCACAF Champions League and should generate a lot of revenue. It's going to all take place in the United States. And, well, what's your take on this? What's going on?
I like it, Jaime. I mean, it's played in 1 month. Those Mexican teams, what they do in that month is, I'm guessing it's going to be during the preseason for Mexican teams. They all just play moleros. Might as well play some games that mean a bit more, and more importantly, puts money in their pockets. And for my goats, you said we will not talk about Chivas, but they need money. And you know, this is Molero televised. Not only do they get to play this cup, but if provided they did well, they qualify to the other cup. And if they continue the way they have been, where they can't even get to Liguilla, at least they're playing these other tournaments. And you need that, you know, all jokes aside, you need that as a club. The more tournaments you're playing, just to stay active and generate more money. Because since the whole COVID thing hit, and a lot of these clubs weren't able to play, especially come play in the U.S., and that I know that has affected a lot of teams.
So what you're saying is this just boils down to money, very similar to like when they were trying to create like a super league in Europe just to quickly generate money from COVID and everybody losing money last year. So
well, the Super League's been in talks for years, and I think that's more like they feel that because, so for example, in Europe, you could say the big clubs are the ones that like when they have deals, they're the ones that sort of feed the smaller teams in their respective leagues.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to have one Super League where it's all these really big clubs, they could just demand more money overall. So that's kind of what the idea behind that is. This is a bit different. This is like two way. So it's like twofold for Liga MX. It means money or more money than what they would make from the average Molero game that they would have played anyways. So
Yeah.
there's one thing where it's like, why are you complaining? You would have gone and seen them play Sacachispas or whatever Europeans B team they bring. Um, so that's what's in it for Mexican teams. They get more money, and for MLS is more clout because if they could look good against the Liga MX, and they might make a fan or two, or people would be more willing to watch the league here if they see that their teams can hold their own.
Yeah, one thing that needs to be clear is this is not going to be uh like a preseason type of tournament. They will be suspending league play for this tournament to be disputed. So,
But they say for 1 month because
yeah.
it says 1 month.
Yeah, but they said that it's going to like suspend league play. Like
It
they're
says un mes de Leagues Cup sin parar cada verano, and I guess because whose calendar would it cut into?
um
Um, so because I think yeah, we need to see
yeah, keep in mind
who.
this is going to happen in like 2023. So we're still a long ways away from this becoming a reality, but yeah, the details we'll find out as we get closer to it. Trying to read here.
Well, look, I'm saying if my take is that this is during the Liga MX preseason, but if they're willing to suspend it, they suspend their league for 1 month, then we have to assume they're getting you know, some good change out of this.
Yeah,
Change, I mean money.
absolutely.
They're not just gonna do it out of charity or the kindness of their heart. I mean, there's obviously something in it for them, and right now they've been making pretty good money selling players to MLS. That's the other big thing that you know that a lot of people are forgetting. Liga MX has been selling their talent over here, and that's another thing that could help uh, them just showcase some of these other players that might want to eventually make the jump.
Yeah. I mean, we all know what the agenda is. We're trying to merge the two leagues together. I guess this is going to be the closest thing we have to it. We know that there is a lot of interest in Liga MX here in the United States. We know that, you know, we have a lot of Mexicans here living in the States that are willing to pay to watch their clubs play here. And this is a cash cow for the U.S., and it's being exploited. This isn't for bettering the region as far as like the level of competition. I think that Mexico should still try to get their way into Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana. I think that should be the priority. But I understand, you're hosting a World Cup with the United States and Canada, and this is another part of like that piece to convince FIFA
Yep.
that we're all in this together. But it's for me, it's just money.
It is, and same with why Mexico is in those tournaments you mentioned because, and I'm pretty sure it has to do with money. They probably Mexico feels they deserve a bigger piece of the pie. If Colmebol is not willing, then they're gonna go with the highest bidder.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
will.
and like well, you said about bettering the region. I actually do think it betters the region, unless you were saying improve the Mexican league. Well, then no, because they're playing teams that are not stronger. But in the long run, if the region improves, then it will help, but not currently. It's it is, but it is better because I think what it's also. No, I thought it was Canadian teams. Is it also Canadian teams?
Well, it's the
No, right?
MLS, and there are some Canadian teams in the MLS: Montreal, Toronto, I think Vancouver as well. So there's 3 Canadian teams in MLS. So yeah, they will be participating as well. But who's gonna watch Juarez versus Austin FC, or Atletico San Luis versus Minnesota or Cincinnati? I mean, there's a
Well,
lot of
they're
teams.
fans. They're fans, Jaime, because I mean, I watched when Chivas played Libertadores. They weren't exactly playing River Plate and Vasco da Gama every week. They got to play
Uh huh.
some of these other teams that aren't as flashy, but would still you want to see how your team measures up, and like what you mentioned in Austin, like for that's a very new club. It's still like 2 years old or something.
Yeah.
So for their fans, yeah, I imagine it's very exciting to see their teams in international play. Jaime,
Yeah.
you sound very negative,
I know.
man.
I'm just upset. It's like it sounded like it was gonna be like a big announcement. I thought that we were gonna get back into Libertadores, and then this is just. And the reason why I'm upset is because look, like I understand if this was close. I understand if there was like some level of competition, but the fact is, MLS has not won the Conca Champions League since the year 2000, and Mexico has won it 16 seasons in a row now. And right now we have the League's Cup final, and you have Seattle Sounders versus Leon. I'm sure it'll be competitive. I'm sure Ruidíaz will do everything in his power to try and bring the MLS some trophies and some, I guess, some clout and some recognition. But at the end of the day, this benefits the MLS more than it benefits the Mexican League. And I know that in that it also includes Guadalajara, because let's be honest, they're not anywhere near close to winning a championship or even meeting the qualifications to get into the Champions League. So this would be an opportunity for them to get back in the Champions League and eventually a Club World Cup. So I understand that it does benefit a team like Chivas, but it's not the kind of news that I was hoping for. But I digress.
Yeah, nah, you would see an announcement from FMF and CONMEBOL. But I do think eventually, if they get it right, if the ratings are high, I do feel that they could make a cup where they would invite the South American teams, at least
Yeah.
the better ones, and have you know a pretty good tournament where you could have Boca Juniors and Flamengo and whatnot. Some of these well-known teams, and that is a possibility. Um, but this thing is just getting started, so it could be a while. But I mean, because there has been, in the past there was Copa Interamericana. I think that's what it was called, but it was the champion of CONCACAF, CONCA champions versus the Libertadores champion, and they would battle it out. Um, so I mean, it's I do think it's possible, and we already had a Copa America Centenario, that was played
Hmm.
in the U.S. and it was both CONCACAF and CONMEBOL teams. So I mean, yeah, I do think it's very possible that we might eventually see something.
Yeah, I think when the Copa Libertadores final between Boca and River happened, and that incident happened about the bus getting attacked, and they were talking about hosting the final in a neutral venue, and there was talks about it coming to the states, in the end, it ended up being in El Santiago Bernabeu in Spain. But the U.S. were very quick to volunteer to host the final of Libertadores, and I think that would have been a great opportunity to have had. Even though both teams were from Argentina, I think just seeing the kind of interest in the states
Yeah,
would have been huge. A step further closer to having some type of joint effort. Um, but just to give you an indication of like this region and how desperately I want Mexico back in Conmebol. I mean, we had the owner of a team in Suriname in an official match in a nations. It's called the CONCACAF League, and they played against Olimpia de Honduras. And the owner of Suriname's, he ended up playing. He's 60 years old.
he's living the dream, Jaime. I mean, shit. Imagine. I would do that if I could. No, I know that makes it a bit of a joke. And Suriname is not. It's pretty amateur league, semi-pro at best. And furthermore, they shouldn't even be in CONCACAF
Yeah, that
because they
thing
are
in
in
South
South
America.
America.
Yeah, I'm about to say they're in South America.
Somehow they broke them in, and well, there they are. But yeah, I think that I don't put much stock just because the type of league it is, and it's not like they're not very like Suriname. It's not like you don't. Aside from this, you rarely hear from them.
Yeah,
Aside from this incident, it's like when's the last time they made news?
yeah, I have no idea, but I mean that happened today in an official match. It's not like like a friendly or a
Yeah, he played and he captained the team, right? I mean, that team must have been like not playing so good. He must have been like, I got this.
yeah. I mean, I guess when you own the team, you can do whatever you want. It's like the we saw that happen earlier, right? With like the owner's kid, he was playing in I think in like in like China or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's all right. He's slow, slow, but he gives the rest of us hope, Jaime. And we,
Who's giving everybody hope is La Trophies. Everybody thinks that he's like fat and overweight or he doesn't look like an athlete. Um, I get to see him out here in the Bay Area, and I can attest to you guys that I know he has like a chunky face, but he's not overweight at all. But
no,
everybody's looking at this kid, and he just scored 5 goals in 2 games, and everybody's like, dude, he looks like he's like really fat. I'm like, dude, he's not he's not fat. Believe me, he's not fat.
yeah, it was that it stayed with him, huh? That image because he showed up. I don't know if you remember, Jaime, but this dude showed up to the Chivas training camp.
Like
Was like
o-
couple pounds overweight, yeah.
overweight, yeah.
And this was when Chivas Pelaez had come in and they had just invested a lot of money. And, they were getting ready to start competing now for, you know, going to Liguilla and whatnot. And you would think he would be hyped up. And it's the opposite, man. But yeah, I think, and this is what we talked about how, he needed to take advantage of this opportunity he's having because no club in Mexico offered for him. Like nobody wanted him.
Hmm.
No one, not even on loan. This guy would have been at Tapatio right now. He would have been one season from ending up in the Guatemalan league or some league in Central America because he would have been partnering up with Gulit because he's just seen as damaged goods and no one was taking him serious.
Yeah.
So here he is in San Jose and he's I guess took him a while to
Yeah,
get his
he's
mojo, but his last two
barely,
games
yeah.
he's well, the last two games he's been showing with, he's always shown he could do these type of things. I don't expect him to have that type of performance like hat trick every game or goles olímpicos, but I know he could perform at a high level. So you don't
Yeah.
have to be scoring or giving assists, but people could tell when you're on fire, where you're playing so good and you make your teammates look better
Hmm.
and things like that. Where even if you didn't score or give an assist, you were still a big part of helping your team win because they probably had to double, two-man mark, doble marca and whatnot, or you were just you probably like went to three guys and that opened up a lot of space for one of your teammates to make a run and score. So things like that. But I hope he stays like he continues in this form because I do think he came very close to like just his career, going down the
Yeah.
gutter.
I mean, he's one of those players
And
that you can easily see end up in like the third division somewhere, like other players do.
yeah, there's a lot, and yeah, there's a lot of players like that. I mean,
They just
that
their career just
yeah,
tanks.
we've said it here before. I can't remember his name. I don't know if it was Quick Mendoza. It was one player that had been in Liga MX, and they were like he was playing in Central America, I think Guatemala. I don't remember. And they were interviewing him, and they would ride in the back of a pickup truck to go to the game. That's a, I'm not kidding. It sounds like making fun or whatever, but this dude jumped on top, one of those 4x4 pickup trucks, and they took the players to. They're not even a bus, none of that. I guess it must have been like some team in a ranch somewhere. I don't know, but
Yeah, I
small
have no
town.
idea.
But that's where he had end up, and we've seen other players end up in teams like that, very small teams, small town teams.
I think of Marco Granados, Chivas, promising player, ends up playing in Nicaragua, ends up playing in Greece, ends up playing in El Salvador. Now he's finally back in Guadalajara playing for Leones Negros. But yeah, a lot that happens to a lot of kids, man. Crazy.
Yeah, and I have to wonder,
And he's only
like,
24.
I have to wonder how much money he would make in Nicaragua.
I have no idea.
Like how much are they paying him per
Obviously,
match or per week?
I have no idea. We got a ton of comments. Shout out to Ricardo. He says, Buenas noches. MLS is sucking the life
Like,
out of Mexican football and Liga MX. These tournaments do
oh man.
nothing but get the owners more cash. And the
Well, I
MLS,
mean,
huh?
I don't know. Finish the comment.
He says the
I
MLS is
don't.
going to use this cup as a way to poach Mexican talent and stand out foreigners that play in Mexico. I see
Yes.
zero benefits football wise. And then
Yeah,
one
football
last
wise,
one last comment. Joel just wants this cup to work so broke Chivas can get a little cash to buy
it's
overpriced
true.
Mexican players.
I I would not confirm or deny that. I can I cannot confirm or deny that allegation. But no, the benefit I would say, if there is one benefit, is the Mexican teams can use it for their youth. That's about it. I wouldn't see any until it's long term. But yeah, he's right. But I wouldn't call it poaching because this is what Liga MX has decided the direction they want to go into as of um, you know of selling players, almost of becoming a feeder league. And there was, oh man, Ron posted the comment from one of the directivos
Hmm.
where they were talking about becoming that type of league, because big reason why they have, the rules where they could have so many foreigners, and they have been selling them. And MLS is going to be one of the leagues that will pay them, pay more money. But I do. So I wouldn't say poaches like what the Europeans do to the South American teams, or they're pretty much, they'll take their talent for some firewater and beats. They pretty much give them peanuts for a lot of the talent. Not all the players, but for many talented, especially youth, they would like almost whisk them away. But this would be more of like the negocio, that because they do make money. They'll buy Liga MX will buy the. It's easier for Liga MX to bring in some of these players, and then for them to do good in Liga MX, because MLS shoots themselves in the foot with all these DP and all these like rules that they have,
Hmm.
so that just benefits Mexico.
Yeah,
But I mean, money. I mean, come on, they need money. That big. That's how these teams stay afloat. We already seen a lot of teams that you know they went under because they didn't have money to to stay up. Lobos Buap. We have Jaguares. They were showing the stadium. It was like
Veracruz.
they were showing the Veracruz stadium too. It looked like from a zombie movie. It's all like just falling down.
I know it's sad.
Veracruz also. And on that note, they finally arrested Cudi. He seemed like he was untouchable, but I think he finally went to jail. He was, he was the owner of Veracruz. Um, you see Leon, who was one of the historic big teams, and they don't even, they're owned by Grupo Pachuca, which was one of the smallest team at one point. It's almost like Athletic, not even, it's almost like Rayo Vallecano eventually owning Real Madrid. It pretty much is, because Pachuca, even though they're old, they were just, does the joke Ranchuca, small team, and they end up owning Leon and just all this stuff. But I mean, so yeah, I mean, Atlas right now, they owned by Grupo Orlegui. So yeah, man, they need the money. So I know you guys would prefer South America or European partnership, but those guys aren't knocking in Liga MX's door, man. That's just not there. And the MLS, they're like the evangelicals coming every Sunday, talking to you about the word. The other teams are not, man. That's just the sad truth. And there's just no offers from those. So you have to eventually take the better deal, and this will help them at least money wise to maintain a good level of play.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a prom and a girl asks you out, and you're like, well, I don't really want to go with you, but I also don't want to go stag. So then you go to the dance floor and you see the hot girls, and but you got to dance with the one that brought you. And right now, MLS is the one that brought us and is bringing us revenue and making an effort to try and make this happen. So we just kind of have to deal with it. Another statement by Ricardo saying that the excuse to not play Libertadores in Sudamericana was the calendar. And now they're going to find a way to make this third cup work. uh, we also have a Wolves and Sheep's Clothing shout out. He says, love you, bros. And yeah, thank you guys for being active
Thank
in
you.
the chat.
Yeah, thank you. I'm feeling the love. No, I mean, yeah, it was an excuse, but it was more of the excuse for the fans. It was, you know, I'm pretty sure it has to do with money, television rights, and all of that. I do feel that's a big reason why they eventually didn't want to be in that tournament. So I don't know. I don't know who's gonna fold. You know, probably Conmebol.
I think eventually we'll get back in, hopefully one day. So Sunday we talked about Vucetic leaving, getting fired. Ricardo Peláez has yet to announce a new coach. Micheliano will be the intern, and we weren't able to talk about the rest of the results in Liga MX. We kind of mentioned Rayados beating Tigres, and that was a big, big victory for Javier Aguirre. And do you think Piojo is being exposed out there, or do you think he's still doing a good job for Tigres?
No, he's doing a good job. I mean, he Monterrey is one of the candidates. Really good coach. No shame there, you know.
Yeah, Monterrey with that victory puts him at fifth position, 14 points. Tigres, they have 13, 3 wins, 4 draws, and 2 defeats.
Yeah,
One,
yeah, Monterrey. That's the one thing where they should. Well, they're not. They don't seem as strong as they should be. But we've talked about how this league, how it's pretty even. So they're basically just 6 points from first place,
yeah, splitting hairs.
America, which is 2 games. So they're in fifth, and it's just the 6 points, and then Leon, who has 15, they're just 5 points, and then Atlas is just a surprise, man. They've always been at the bottom, but they're in third. So I guess we're beginning to see the Orlegi influence, and they're at 16 points. So with just 1 point difference from fifth to third, 14, 15, 16. And then and then Atlas from first and second place is just 3 points. So a doble jornada can alter this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And that's been the thing with this league. I guess one of the things that makes it so exciting, and that just how competitive these teams stay, and they need money to keep buying players. That's why they,
One thing I did want to
that's
point
why they
out,
do leagues cups.
yeah, one thing I do want to point out, a scene that I thought was a little bit alarming over there was Carlos Salcedo getting subbed out prematurely after a it seemed like a flagrant foul. He went for a ball that was pretty much like going out, and he tried to like take out Funes Mori. And I don't know if that was the reason why Piojo took him out, but he got subbed out. He was not happy, and him and Piojo almost like fought each other. They were yelling. It didn't look good, is all I'm saying. And I mean, we've seen it where players, and you know they sort of poison the well, and then you get other players involved, and all of a sudden the coach gets kicked out. I mean, that's the reason that Vucetic was fired. Peláez says that there was some internal conflicts going on. So, I mean, would you be surprised if Piojo's tenure at Tigres is shortened and he ends up getting fired if they don't have, I would say, a respectable season?
I would say the only player where I would see like where he would have differences with, it would have to be Gignac.
Mm-hmm.
He's like their untouchable. He's their like their main attraction. So any other player, I don't think so.
Yeah, you have to please Gignac. If you're not spoiling him, making him the man, then they're probably gonna find a way to turn against you and get you kicked out. It's like Messi, you know, Messi's basically untouchable. Although Pochettino subbed him out the other day, I guess he had an injury. But you rarely see Messi get subbed out. Same thing with Gignac.
Yeah, and also we should note that it's something that we didn't, or we rarely saw with Tuca, and again, but Tuca had such a close relationship with the old directiva, which is not there anymore. Big reason he's also gone, and that's why players knew that, and they knew not to mess with him. I guess there some of these guys probably testing the waters with Piojo. But I mean, Piojo, dude, he's been around, man. He's been around. He knows what's up.
I'm
I do
sure.
think,
I'm pretty sure he worked with Salcedo when he coached the national team, right?
yeah, yeah. I guess some of these guys forget, though.
Uh, we
They're bound
have
to forget. But
we have a comment from Ricardo saying that Salcedo said that he came back from Europe because he had nothing to do on the weekends over there. And then we have a really good comment from Fernando. Saludos, Fernando. He says, the MLS is using our football to improve until they don't need us anymore. Mexican suits venden las nalgas for money.
oh, wait, I don't agree with the they don't need us anymore. Uh, uh, I do think if this league blows up, they would take Mex right along with them. The only reason would be is if Mex drops the ball and they don't take advantage, because you need that rivalry, the yin and yang. You have like in South America, Brazil, Argentina, and whatnot. So that's the big rivalry for at least for the gringos in the U.S. It's U.S. versus Mex.
Hmm.
So I mean, I wouldn't say they would take things away. It's this is for Mex to lose. It's for them to lose this opportunity they have of taking advantage of this league, not just of using it to sell players, but also even to promote their talent, to send players like trophies that would have been long forgotten and they having a second chance. Even someone like Pulido, these guys would have not gotten. He wouldn't have gotten the money he's getting at any other club. He had it at Chivas, and then he knew big reason he went, right. He knew, like, even though he won the goal scoring, no one was gonna pay him what he was making.
Yeah.
And again, the offers weren't exactly raining on the door. So he came to this league where he's cleaning up, and so that I do see it as a big opportunity because we talked about this yesterday, how there's less Mexicans playing in Mexico. Not only are there less Mexicans now, even
There's less
players, even
coaches.
coaches.
Yeah.
Two coaches left. There was three with Buse. Now there's only two. They just played each other. I was already talking about firing Piojo.
We're gonna be left with one.
And MLS has one, which is Gonzo. He seems to be doing really good at, I think it's Atlanta where he took over. Um, and so I do see that, like, eventually, like, I could see more coaches coming over here and doing well if they wanted to, you know. So I do think it's a big opportunity. I know a lot of the people don't like it, but if you could make money, if you could make a good living, then why not? You know,
Yeah.
that's always been my take. I mean, even Matias is here. I don't know how he gets. I still can't figure out how he gets a pass, man. His fans are just very forgiving of him. Um,
Well, I
but
mean,
yeah, we
they were like dead last before he came in, so I mean,
no, and even see, eventually it didn't happen because all these Mexicans got injured. But this was a clear indication where we're at, where the All Star game was gonna have MLS with more Mexican All Stars than the Liga MX All Stars, and bigger names to boot, like Chicharo and Vela. Just you could stop there.
yeah, those
And
two
these
combined
ended up.
make a lot of money.
So yeah, no, I don't see, I don't see them dropping them, like saying, "All right, you're worthless." I do think if this league were to blow up, and I think, like, look back like NBA, where it didn't really blow up until like the 80s. You go back to 60s, 70s, and you're looking at it was like that movie with Will Ferrell. Was,
What,
you
semi
seen
pro?
the semi-pro? It was pretty much like that to some extent, and then around the 80s, it just all of a sudden it blew up and it became huge, and so it could happen. I'm not saying it will, but it could. It's that possibility. And if it does here in the U.S., TV and whatnot, sponsors, because and I do think it would elevate Liga MX as far as like the money that they would make and that the type of players they could bring.
Man, I do want to bring up Juarez a little bit. Tuca Ferretti's got them back with a 3-game winning streak. They beat Cruz Azul, which was a big upset. They beat Leon, and then just today they beat Atletico San Luis. That puts them in 11th position with 11 points. I know in the beginning of the season I was a little bit nervous, because it's Tuca and he doesn't have the same tools that he did at Tigres.
He has
But
one. He has one.
but now he's got them
He,
on the right course.
he has one big tool. No pun intended. The president of el presidente el presi de Juarez. He was the he was one of the main dudes at Tigres. So he's the guy that brought him over, and that's why I knew he wouldn't get sacked when early on in the season we were talking about. And I said
Miguel
he
Angel Garza.
yes sir. I said he didn't bring him over to sack him. You know, a month in, he's gonna give him the whole season. And but yeah, Tuca man, he's an old wolf. I don't. I'm not surprised he has him doing good.
Yeah, I was looking at some familiar faces over there. Juarez, Hugo Gonzalez. You had Paul Aguilar. You also have,
Those were seleccionados, weren't they, at one point or another?
yeah, you have Jose Madueña, who is the player that Velaz bought from Cruz Azul to bring to Chivas and didn't really play. He also has Oscar Macias, who's a prospect from Chivas. So, and you have Marin, used to be a solid defender for Chivas. So there's a lot of familiar names over there. Oh, and of course, how can we forget Marco Fabian? So
Oh, I
we had forgotten about that
I
guy.
forget. I thought he was just they were just using him
Yeah,
for
he's still there.
when supermarket openings. He would go and just cut the ribbon, take pictures, and go home.
And of course, how can we not talk about Toluca beating America? I know Ricardo's a big America fan, and it's funny that he's avoiding any America talk in the chat. But yeah, they got their shit pushed in by Toluca 3-1. Convincing victory for Toluca. And it was number 1 versus number 2. So they're now tied on points, 20 apiece. The two best teams in Mexico after 9 matches. But what a great job Cristante has done on his second chance, right? His second go at Toluca.
Yeah, it really surprised me. I wasn't expecting him to do this well, but here we are, Jaime. And you posted a picture of a newspaper.
Oh, I did. I don't know where
I I thought that was fake, but you're telling me it's real.
yeah, it was a real not a
The headlines were like albur, you know. It just I don't. It's like a mil chistes covering soccer. If anybody's old enough to remember mil chistes.
it's like one of those magazines you see on the street. Pasala? Is it called Pasala? I think it's called Pasala.
Yeah, pásala.
And it says La cabeza del chorizo. Les entró.
Yeah, 'cause they're trying to be clever. What is saying? There was three headers.
And
You could tell people aren't buying because everything has gone to social media. So you would go, especially in Mex, you would have all these Mexican newspapers, and people will go and buy them, and sometimes even buy three of them, even though it was a lot of the same news,
Hmm.
but just to have like a tidbit or like a different perspective.
Yeah,
But you could tell how it's all changed with social media. You get on Twitter and you could see the press conference on Twitter. You could even have the people tweeting and whatnot, or you could be interacting with the journalists.
I
So
know it is crazy, how we get
and
our information now, and it used to be the newspapers and the magazines. Soccer Mania, one of my favorite magazines in Mexico. Um, Now it's like on Twitter. Everything's on Twitter now.
yeah, and my favorite, and I'm going way way back. It was this magazine called Tiro de Esquina,
Oh, okay.
and it was it was like crudely made. It was crudely made. It was like like the page would eventually like fade. That's how cheap it was. Yeah, it wasn't even like magazine stock. It was like this just cheap paper, and you could fold it. Like you could fold it easily and put it in your pocket. But I liked it because it would give you all the stats. So I'm going way back. You didn't have medio tiempo or none of that. So it would have like the tabla de goleadores, the main tabla, and all of that stuff.
Mm,
And then they would have some articles, and then they like some cheap poster in the middle that you had to like take the staples off. But that was one of my favorite. I think I've lost them. I might have one, unless it already like disintegrated. And then Record eventually made a magazine. I think it was in early May, like around 2005 maybe, or when was it? 2000, somewhere around that time. Record had a pretty good. It was like a weekly magazine.
uh-huh.
It was pretty good. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was similar to the Mania magazine you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Soccer Mania. I would go to Mexico in the summertime, and it was like a comically large magazine. It was huge. It was like
Ah, okay.
the
You got to
big
see it too.
yeah, it was huge. It was like a newspaper article. Like it was so
I
big.
had some of those.
Yeah, they were cool. And then
Because they remade it, Jaime,
they
but
did. They made him smaller. Yeah.
smaller. But I did buy some of them in Mexico,
Yeah, they were like 10
and
pesos.
I which is like $1. Um, but I had the one that detailed Alberto Medina's injury.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I wish I
that's
could
how
find a
that's
copy of
how
that
old
one.
it was. Yeah, and it had like a picture. It had like
Oh, dang.
the picture of the leg with the ligaments and all. It looked like Grey's Anatomy, and I was like, what the fuck
That
is
was
this?
a
Um,
horrific injury. I knew the second he went down, I knew it was like, oh, he's out. He's done.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, he did come back and win at least one league,
Yeah.
but
He
he
came
could have
back,
done.
but he was a
He
shadow of
could
his
have
former
done
self.
much. He was really good. I mean, he was so good. He wrestled Ronaldinho because he kept clowning. I don't know if it was Vampeta. He kept clowning some defender. It was a friendly game
It
played
was
in
Mexico versus Brazil in El
in
Jalisco.
Jalisco.
Yep.
Yes, with the Nigri scored a goal,
Hmm.
and he was just kept juking this one defender. Ronaldinho eventually came down and kicked him in the
Yeah.
kicked. He's like, hey, you don't get to do that. But but I mean, dude, to piss that guy off on Botrix, who's he kind of known for that. You gotta, and part of it was because he was like 17 when he was doing that. That's the other part. He
I
was
kid
he was
you.
like
Yeah.
17 or 18. So he was young. He was 17 or 18. I know he debuted at 17. So, but I know he was under 20. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there was I don't know if it was the Toulon tournament, but it was a tournament where both Alberto Medina and Cristiano Ronaldo played each other, and Alberto Medina was like named the player of the tournament. So
Yeah,
just to give you an idea.
I although I don't think he would have he would have surpassed CR7. But just because I know talent wise the talent was all there, but you need other other departments. Would he have had that, like the physical, and the mental and all that? But yeah, that's how good he was. I do feel he would have had a better career than he had.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about the whole Toulon thing with him.
Yeah, it was 2003.
Man, that's whew, 18 years ago.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Ronaldo's still playing, scoring goals. Wants to play until he's like 40.
There's Zanetti played. He was like 42, I think.
Meanwhile, we're still waiting on Messi's first goal for PSG. Can't do it in the Farmers League. We got a bunch of comments. Juarez should
Yeah,
have
let's
kept the
look.
Indios name instead of being called Bravos. Yeah, I remember that. Los Indios de Ciudad Juarez. I remember Paulo Aguilar also played for that team, and I think they got mad at him because he was on loan from, I want to say, Pachuca, scored against Pachuca and celebrated the goal, and then he ended up going to America after that. They sold him. But yeah, I remember Indios de Ciudad Juarez. They folded, unfortunately. But yeah, we have a big match coming up on Saturday. Chivas versus America. Now with a new coach or intern coach, like how confident do you feel going into that match on Saturday?
I don't know, man. I I don't know. I think it's good that America lost. So there's that. Chivas was coming in from they're in a 4-game undefeated streak, having won their last game. So so you have that, sort of like, but I would still rate America as the stronger team. So I don't know, man. I know Leaño has that. He won his last when he coached the team last time. He won the 2 games. He
Yep.
did play pretty weak opponents.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know, man. And it is a clásico. You know what they say? It's a whole other ball game. I can't. I'm looking at my crystal ball, but it's cloudy. It's cloudy, Jaime. I can't see anything.
Well, I will say this: like, it doesn't matter what form, and then we talked about this, I think, on the emergency episode. It doesn't matter what form you're in going into El Clasico. That is a completely different. It's a completely different. It's like a separate thing. It's like a separate tournament. Um, it's kind of like when Atlas play against Chivas. Like they treat that as like the World Cup final. So it's like it's one of those games where it's like it doesn't really matter if you're like crawling into that match, if you're in really good form or you're in really bad form. Um, Players will rise to the occasion. I will say though, it's been a long time since I saw like a really entertaining back and forth like match. I was looking at some older highlights. There was like a match in like 2003 where it was in El Azteca. Chivas scored a goal early off a penalty, and then the referee called 2 penalties. He actually called up 4 penalties in that match. 2 for Chivas, 2 for America. Zamorano scored twice, and then Ramon missed his second penalty. In the end, Chivas ended up winning 3-2. And I remember the very last play of the game. The ball's inside the 18-yard box, and Osvaldo clears it off the line, and then the rebound goes to the America player, and then Reynoso dives, and he blocks the ball with his hands. This is before VAR, and Chivas ended up winning that match, and everybody in the stadium knew like what had happened. And it was like for me, it was like one of those games where you were just like you couldn't sit down. It was so entertaining from like minute one all the way to the 90th minute, and I just missed that kind of passion that was in those matches.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Although I didn't see the Copa por Mexico game. That was like 7 goals for three or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since we had that type of that type of game.
Yeah, actually, that's probably the last time I saw that kind of back and forth, the 4-3 victory from Chivas. Yeah, definitely.
I think was it, man, my memory is hazy, but I think and this was like, you look at the coaches, it would have been like a Champions League. They would be coaching Champions League, but it was Leo Benhacker coaching Chivas, and I think they were playing America that was being coached by Marcelo Bielsa.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I forgot the number. I used to know the Clasico number. But you could Google it through that, and you probably could find it if you guys
Let's
are
see.
interested.
He
And
coached
yeah, my
America
memory tends.
in 95, 96.
Who?
Biesla.
Bielsa?
Yeah.
Yeah, my memory tends to lie to me sometimes. I mean, it rewrites. It does its own fan fiction. But I remember. I think America was winning 2-0, and Chivas came back to win 3 to
Oh.
2. Yeah, and there was one goal. Was it against them? I think Misael Espinosa, where it was like the goalie kicked it, and then a defender, like with his head, prolonged it, and then Misael Espinosa one shot, like scored. And I don't know if it was against them though, but I'm gonna let my fan fiction. I'm gonna go with it.
I just googled 96 and it was 5-0 Chivas America. I don't know if it was that match.
No, that was with they had La Volpe. La Volpe was the coach of America.
Oh,
And I don't know if it was Tuca. Tuca might have been the coach for Chivas.
don't worry. We'll find it. Whether or not be at the end of this episode, but I'll find that match. That's crazy though to have those two world class coaches. Oh wow! I guess this lit up the chat. We have why hasn't Mexico been able to produce another player like Hugo Sanchez? Mexico will never win anything without difference makers. That's what separates the good, the bad, and the elite. Fernando says Chivas sacó el paraguas by firing Vuse before el clásico. 40 chess from Peláez. And Ricardo says my guy Peláez is doing his job well. The inside sabotage is going as planned. I mean, who knows? Maybe this whole thing is just a scheme. You know, I mean, look at Oribe Peralta. You know, it's like he ended up sabotaging Chivas more than helping us. So,
I still believe in him.
oh my god! Even after that terrible miss against Pachuca, I don't know how anybody can
No, no,
defend him. This
I
guy,
mean, not defending that he
he's making
sucks.
2 million a year, bro. Come on, man. There's no defending him. That's a lot of money.
Here, here it goes, man. I found it.
You found it?
Yeah, hold on. And it's talking about. Wait.
Ricardo says Osvaldo Sanchez was overrated keeper. Name another keeper that kept a clean sheet for an entire Gold Cup tournament. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Wait, what was that?
Um, Ricardo claims that Osvaldo Sanchez was an overrated keeper, and my counter argument is name another goalkeeper that kept an entire clean sheet for a Gold Cup tournament.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he had his thing, but no, I'm not just quick on Oribe. I'm not defending him that he sucks. I think he's damaged. He's broken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't think he's sabotaging. I do think he wants, like, from the bottom. It's hard to go out, to ride off into the sunset, having done like one last one last good game or golazo, not just hanging his boots, just being like a laughing stock. So my feels are for him, man. I do think he should have retired, long ago. But I guess he just part of him is not giving up.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that Peláez can do to help Chivas, especially in these times of need, financial crisis, is allowing Peralta to leave as a free agent whenever his contract expires. Because I mean, 2 million, bro. I mean, they could use that to sign somebody, maybe lure in somebody else.
Here I found an article, and it does it was the 95-96 season,
Mm-hmm.
and it says it was the last. Uh, it was wait, what was it? It said, like, it was talking about the interesting things of that season, and it said that Tigres were in danger of going to second division, but at the same time they were fighting to they could have won the league. I mean, so they would have gone to second division on the coefficient, I guess.
Uh huh.
But yeah, I was right. They did. They were losing 0-2, and they ended up winning.
Wow.
Winning. Yeah, here it is. But yeah, you could see that game.
Yeah, definitely send that to me. I want to see. I want to read that up. We rarely talk about players in Europe, but today we had a match between Getafe and Atletico Madrid. Good news for us. Both JJ Macias and Hector Herrera were starters in that match. In the end, Atletico won. Luis Suarez scored both goals. Um, as far as minutes go, JJ Mack played about 60 something minutes and then was subbed out for a Turkish player.
Didn't
Uh,
he miss a penalty? I heard he missed a
he
penalty.
missed, yeah. Macias was subbed in last game and he drew the penalty. He earned the penalty, but then Eres Unal took it and missed. So
Oh, he didn't miss it then.
no, he didn't miss it. No, he they gave it to
Okay,
the Turkish
just
guy. Yeah. Hector Herrera played 84 minutes, so definitely some good news. I think Macias has yet to score for Getafe, so we're waiting on that. It's quite a gamble going on a loan, sacrificing the Olympics just to go to Europe on a loan.
yeah. Well, I mean, he's following his dream. He had his plan set up, and I think he has the mentality for it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think he's prepared to write pine, or to not get or to feel that he doesn't have the coach support and whatnot. We've seen other Mexican players fold because they think that the coach is against them or whatnot.
All I know is Enes Unal is kind of like overrated. I remember him being like a big promising player. I know in like FIFA he was, he was like a prospect that you should like buy hella cheap, and but he's had a pretty abysmal career, and I personally rate Macias over him, so I don't know why they keep giving him like the treatment over Macias. I think Macias just
Well,
needs
because
needs more time, more minutes.
yeah, well, I mean the whole being alone thing, they have less to lose, and with the other guy, if he has like a decent season, they could at least try to sell him and use that money to buy Macias.
So yeah, I mean, pretty much wraps up this episode. Again, if you guys missed our whole Chivas talk, it was our previous episode. It's called Emergency Meeting. Um, Talked all about the Vucetic leaving, potential candidates, and we're going into a Super Clásico on Saturday, 7 p.m. Joel, you said you're not confident about that match. I think that Chivas can get a draw.
Well, I didn't say not confident. I just said I don't know. It could go either way. I'm saying my crystal ball. I don't see anything. It's just smoke.
Well, I'm excited to see how this team operates under Michel Leaño. Already drama going around on Twitter. There was a video that went viral today. Michel Leaño giving everybody a handshake on the team, and all but one player shook his hand, and that player was Jesus Molina. As everybody knows, that was Vucetic's guy. He was the captain. He was guaranteed to play in every single game, and I'm sure Michel Leaño knows what all the fans know, and that is that we much rather
Mm.
have Nene Beltran in the lineup over Molina. So I think like he knows that his days are numbered, and we'll see what kind of lineup we have on Saturday. But for me, it's a breath of fresh air. I'm very excited to see how this team performs, and I think Michel Leaño might. I mean, depending on how this game goes, and depending how the rest of the season goes, who knows if the results go his way, if he goes another 2 games undefeated, 3 games undefeated, maybe he'll get the permanent gig.
Yeah, even though Pelaez did say during the presser that he was interim only. So I mean, I don't know. I feel that the whole Buse being ousted, I do think I don't think them drop my mic. I don't think that was Pelaez's move. I do think it came from above, and Leaño could have probably pushed for that himself. He does have clout.
That's right.
His name carries weight, and him saying that, like he knows. And then there was talk of like restructuring the youth divisions, and that's what Leaño was in charge of. So maybe it's a gamble of
They
like,
got rid of Alberto Coyote as well, who was coaching Tapatio.
yeah, because really quick, all the teams are doing bad. All the youth teams. Tapatio was like in last place or second to
Yeah, they're
last,
not doing well.
and the sub 20 and the other sub 18 or whatever it's follows. They're all like bottom of the table.
Tapatio has 5 points in 8 games. They're in dead last.
Yeah, and Tapatio normally for Chivas, well, I say normally, but more often than not, they would be one of the better teams.
Oh wow, Ricardo says that they were throwing food and drinks at Amauri and his family during the Pachuca game. I don't know if that's true,
That's
but I could see that happening. Also, what a terrible, tragic event happened in Philly. America fans murdered another America fan, and now there's like a reward for them, and
They got caught.
two of them got caught.
Yeah, it
But
was it more than two?
there was like, I think 3 or 4 of them that,
Oh,
yeah. So is this what they want? The League's Cup, and got hooligans after the game wanting some smoke. I don't know, man.
nah. I think this was a one tragic, unfortunate one-off type of thing. I don't think we see these incidents too often. I mean, you'll have like madrazos and whatnot, but this, they went a bit overboard.
I'll be honest. I've been to a lot of amistosos over the years here in the Bay Area in California, and
Wait, you caught one, Jaime, right?
yeah,
America fans again. America fans that
yeah.
attacking cars.
Uh, America played against Atlas here in San Jose. It was a friendly, and yeah, in the parking lot, which is not really a parking lot, it's just like a dirt patch. Uh, I don't know what happened, but some dudes started breaking windows off of this van, and there was like a big fight, and the van tried to speed off, and there was like kids around, and it was just a very unpleasant experience there. And
We need to know what's going on at America, man.
I don't know what's
It's a
going
lot
on
of
with you.
violence from one club.
Yeah, Ricardo, you got to get your America fans in order, man. You got to tell them that it's not okay to being this violent. And there was even a thing on Reddit like, hey, should they ban alcohol from soccer matches? And I'm like, that's never gonna happen in Mexico. I know in Brazil they did that. Like, you're not allowed to drink at the game and stuff. So I don't think I can't see that ever happening in Mexico. Like, you tell Mexicans you can't drink at a soccer game, you might end up in a fight. I don't
I'm surprised they sell sopa maruchan.
know.
I wouldn't trust, if the fans can throw $12 tall boys at the players. I'm not giving them a hot cup of noodles.
I know. There's like a tradition at the LAFC matches, like the beer showers when a team scores, and I'm like, man, that's a $12-15 beer, man. You guys just have that to throw? Like, you all tripping, dog. That's an IPA, man. Can't be doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everyone for the last 2 days. We've had really good engagement with everyone. We had some listeners join us on Twitter Spaces on Sunday, talking about the tragedy in Chivas, was just getting fired. Today a lot of chats on YouTube. Thank you guys. Let us know what your predictions are. Tag us on Twitter, Cantina MX_pod. I'm feeling a little bit not too confident, but hopefully we'll get a draw out of this match. Do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this up, Wood?
Oh no, sir. I've said it all.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, and stay tuned for our next episode 304 next week. Thank you guys so much. Be safe out there. Don't kill people, okay? Don't go out to games and beat people up for sandwiches.